So it's day one at your new job. You're a full stack engineer at Hello World Coding Bootcamp. And your boss wants you to make a instructors, students tracking system for their admin personnel, right? So there'll be a field to enter a new student with a little box. And same thing to enter a new instructor. And then there'll be a field like choose your instructor. And it'll be a select box. You can choose your different instructor. And then you can see the students registered to that instructor. So it'll be, Victor and Kevin and Daniel. So this application hasn't been built. There's no docs. There's no anything. The design team or your boss or your team leader just gives you this wireframe, right? So it's up to you to make this application, and we're going to try to make the back end today. So we have to think about what kind of information a student has, what kind of information an instructor has. We want to store those in a database. So how do we create a database? We're going to need a full stack application, right? So let's start at creating a database. What website can we go to create a database? Victor? Do you remember our weird sounding database site?
Yeah, Cockroach.
Yeah. So we're going to go to Cockroach. I already have a cluster. So if I click on connect and database, I can add a new database. So this is Hello World Bootcamp. And then I might as well save this file, right? Because I know I'm going to need this connection string. Where's a good place to store sensitive stuff in this brand new folder I'm going to create? What file name? Do you remember, Kevin? Where do we keep our sensitive password stuff?
The ignore file?
Yeah, the file we're going to ignore, but do you remember the name of that file?
And I don't.
It's going to be, what was that?
env.
Yeah, so .env. So here I'm going to paste in my password. Oh, actually can copy this whole string in. Except here I forgot to choose that I'm working with JavaScript. So it'll be a little nicer for me. Yeah, but I just delete everything before the database URL. So I'll go ahead and save that away for later. And I think that's maybe all I need in CockroachDB. But anyway, I want to start making my tables, right, in the database. I'm definitely gonna have two tables. What do you think are those tables going to be, Daniel? In my database?
Instructor and students.
Yeah. And what type of information might both of them include?
IDs, names.
Yeah. I think that's a good start.
First, yeah.
So we want to start telling the database what our models are going to look like. How do we do this, Ryan? How do we communicate to the database?
First, we need to install Prisma.
We need to install Prisma, but Prisma is a node package. So what do we have to install first?
Node.
Yeah, npm init. We have to start a node project. And then, like Ryan says, we have to install Prisma. And then do you remember the command to like initialize Prisma, Ryan?
npx prisma init.
Very nice. And that will create us the one file where our schema will live. And now we can actually start thinking about what our student and instructor should look like. But I have to change this to be cockroachdb. And now, who took to Prisma yesterday? Who started to feel like they were maybe getting a little bit comfortable with making a model? You want to give it a stab, David, of making a student model in Prisma?
Sure. So type model, and then we'll start with student,
Very nice.
and then in bracket curly braces.
Yep.
And then we can have something like an ID.
Yep.
And I think we need a decorator ID
Very nice.
there. And then I think we're going to use the default at default.
Yeah. There's one field before both these decorators though. That every so you named your field, but then you have to tell Prisma what data type is ID.
The type. So in this case, it would be big in. Is that what we used? In or big in?
We're gonna use.
String.
We could. We can. That gave us so much trouble yesterday. Let's just use strings.
Okay, string. Yeah.
And then the library. Do you remember to auto generate unique strings?
UU
Very
ID.
nice. Yeah. And if you forget, it'll auto suggest it as you start typing. And then what else, David? Do you think might a student have?
A name.
A name. And what data type
and
is
that's
that?
a string. Yeah.
Any other decorators? Can two students have the same name?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, I guess they could. It might be a little unusual, but yeah, I guess. Okay. Guion, can you help me out with the instructor?
Yes. Model and instructor.
Yeah,
I think it's quite the same.
I think that's
yeah.
it. I think it's going to be all the same, at least for now, for like this very easy stage. So this is all stuff. So I think I'm going to purposely create a bug and then we'll fix it later so you can see how I do it. So yeah, this is fine for now. We created very basic student and instructor models for our database, but CockroachDB has no idea about this schema yet. How do we tell CockroachDB about this schema and migrate our changes over there? Hara?
I have to migrate it. npx prisma migrate def.
Yeah. So we're asking it to put our changes over there.
I have a question, Max.
Sure.
When you do a new project, yesterday in the package.json, we had to type model. When we start a new project, do we have to do that all the time, or is it always going to be there?
Type model?
Yeah.
What, here?
Oh, I think
in the JSON, in the package.json.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So we have to do it every time we do a new one. We have to.
You
type that
will,
in.
yeah. But let's hit that error. So we got a very basic database, and it actually worked, right? But now let's work on our server because we're going to need a server. The front end developer is going to want to request from the database all our students. So we're going to receive the request and we have to respond. So how can we get started making a very basic Express server? Renata.
In your index.js,
Yep.
you would create a file. And I'm just trying to think right now.
What package do we use to build our server?
Express.
So we have to install it.
Yeah, so we do have to install Express.
And then we have to import it.
Right. Import Express.
And now when I run this code, how can I run this code, Renata?
Oh, with nodemon. So nodemon index.js.
Now when I run this, I'm going to get an error.
Mm-hmm.
And why did I get that error, Kimberly?
Because you didn't put in the JSON type model.
There we go. Yeah. So if you forget, you'll be reminded. And then back to the Express server. Renata, any more lines you could give me to get this started?
I need a hint. I can't remember.
So let me tell you what our mini objective. A get request to our server at /. We want to respond with success, true, and a message. Welcome to Hello World Bootcamp server. That's our objective. But a few lines of code to get our Express server listening to the world.
Oh, so you have to do the listener, and you have to listen on your local host, so 3000.
We will have to do that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And a little callback function that says server is up.
Yes.
But I'm using the word app here.
Yes.
Uncomfortably because I didn't do what yet?
Import.
I just have to initialize it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I
Initialize.
use
Okay.
the imported express function to initialize a new app.
Okay.
And then I believe we have a working Express server. How can I try to hit a request to it, Alex? There's two different ways. How can I try to hit my server with a request to /?
I don't know.
Katrin, any ideas? How can I test this server with a request to it?
Test the server. Put the nodemon.
Nodemon's running our code. We're good there.
Okay. Yeah, go to Thunder client.
Yeah, so I'm going to open a new VS Code. Go to Thunder client. New request. What's the address if my server is running on my own computer?
Localhost 3000.
Very nice. So I do a get request to / and it says this is some built-in error handling by Express, which we want to actually overwrite. Cannot get /. So how can I respond? That's annoying. Is that going to do that? Yeah, I hate that. Hold on. I hate when it does that. There it goes. How can I get started working on this request so I get a nice response? Monica, any ideas?
App.get.
Yeah. What's our first argument?
The /.
Yep. And our second?
Is it request and response or something like that?
Yeah. And this will always be the same format. And then I want to respond with what I said I wanted to respond with right here. And I have an error. What's my error?
Because of line 12, you should move that up above.
Yeah, just
to
ordering
initialize
was wrong. Okay, I hit the server again, and it works. But now, what do I always tell you guys, right? When you get a successful one, what do?
Try to break it.
You break it. So they request to this, and now it's broken. What data type did they send me back automatically? HTML, but I'm making a JSON server. So if it reaches line 14, I basically want to say, well, no route was found. I don't know what to do with your request. How can I do that? If they reach here, I want to say there was an error and no route found. How can I send that?
App.use,
Yeah.
then required and
Rec and
response.
res for
Yeah,
request
res.
and response. And then we can just say success, false, error,
no route found.
no route found. Yeah. So now we're trying to break it and we can't break it. So very nice. All right. So that's all just review, right? Now let's do get request to /students to return students. But that reminds me that our database right now, do we have students or not? What do you think, Kimberly? Are there students in our database? And if we don't remember, how can we check?
No, there's no students in the database.
Yeah, but if we don't remember, how can we check?
Is it like LS or something like that?
No, MPX Prisma Studio
Oh yeah,
to see our database.
the database, right?
Yeah. So I don't have instructors. I don't have students. I'll go ahead and add me. Did that work? No. What's wrong? I don't know what's wrong here, but we'll figure it out. Okay, we got Victor. And we got Kevin. And we got me, I guess. Okay. All right, so we have an instructor and we have some students in the database. Right now I want to work on a GET request to return the actual students, well, the dummy data, right? So I'm going to copy this because this looks like a good start. Open to the class, though. Who has a brainstorm of how to start getting the actual students?
App.get. So after the slash, I guess you put students.
Very nice.
And then async because we're going to use await.
Very nice.
Prisma. And then const students equal await prisma dot student.
But now I'm realizing, do we have Prisma defined yet?
No, so we have to initialize.
Yeah.
Prisma?
So does anyone remember how to initialize a new Prisma client?
Import curly brackets.
Yeah, I'm
Prisma
going to
client.
auto do it though, because I remember it's called Prisma client. So I'm just going to find it and tab it. Yeah. To be lazy and to not screw up. Right. And then I'm going to use it to say what, Victor? Do you remember? Oh, I thought you had the code up.
New.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, new Prisma client. Sorry, I muted myself.
New Prisma client. Now I can go back here and I think I might be good. And if I type dot, now I have all these nice Prisma methods. So keep on going. Who was helping us out? Sorry.
It was me.
Oh, Hara. Yeah.
No worries.
Keep on going.
Find many.
So Prisma dot
Find many.
find many doesn't auto populate, so not that.
Oh.
So I'm seeing instructor or student.
Students.
Yeah, student dot find many.
Now find many.
Yeah. Does it need an argument?
No.
No. And instead of message here, what can I put?
Student.
Student.
Dense.
Yeah. How can I hit this request, Hara? Or test this request?
Test it inside the browser or Thunder client.
Yeah. So I guess the browser's easy. We're right here.
So /students.
Yeah. Very nice. We try to break it. We can't really break a get request, right? There's nothing we can really do. So it works. Let's do the same exact thing for instructors. Although there's just one. But what's like the few things that have to change on this one? Ronald?
I guess we have to change to instructors then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Instructors. And this will
Yeah, that one's
change instructors. Yeah. We hit that. Still working. And instructors. Empty array. Which is weird, right? I thought we entered me, but maybe not.
I don't think it registered when you put in your name.
Okay. So let's redo it. Huh.
You have to save.
We have to
Yeah,
migrate.
It's what is going on? Well, let's delete it and try again. Something's weird. What is going on? I don't know, guys. My instructor was Panada. Let's try her. I don't know if that's spelled right. Yeah, what is going on? Let's try to migrate again, maybe?
Oh, I thought I messed up the code.
No, you didn't mess up. Prisma
Okay.
Studio is looking weird to me. If anyone knows what's going on, shout it out. I literally don't know what that bug is.
Do we have to do MPX Prisma in it before we migrate?
We did already.
Oh, we did. Okay.
So our schema looks good, right? I think. Let's try again. MPX Prisma Studio. Instructors and students. Let's look at our request again. Await Prisma instructor to find many. So we hit the server. Oh, we have to run our server. Huh. I have no idea. What's wrong? Does anyone spot a bug or anything?
In the instructor tab, it says you have pending changes. Maybe you could try discarding that.
Oh,
in Prisma Studio.
Instructor, discard. Oh, thank you. That's probably it. Whoops. Okay, yeah, that was probably it. So let's go back to Prisma Studio. Good eye. Okay, yeah. So students, there's no pending changes, but instructor, let's add me. Save. Okay, that looks better. Let's close that. Let's rerun our server. Let's re-hit this. Nice. Okay, that's all review, right? Students and instructors. Any questions, though, on that? It's kind of crazy how fast we can start building a full stack application with these tools, right? It's really cool, actually.
Hey, Max, I've got a question about the cluster.
Sure.
Should one cluster be associated with one project, or
No.
does it really matter?
One cluster will be for the whole course. You'll have many databases. If you try to create multiple clusters, it'll try to get you to pay. So when you click connect, you can just do more databases here. Yeah. Don't pay. There should be no reason you ever have to pay. And if they somehow switch this, we'll try to find a free one.
I have a quick question about that find many method.
Yes.
Can you think of an example, or does it take arguments? And can you think of an argument that would apply?
Yeah.
In
We're going to use it just now. We're building up to it. Yep. Yeah.
Max,
Yep. Go ahead.
I do have a question just because I was rewatching the video, like just the Prisma one that that we had for pre-work.
Okay.
And on that video, he was doing like .json and stuff. I wonder.
Yeah, send. I'm pretty sure it does it automatically for you.
Okay.
We'll give. It'll set the headers to application JSON for us. Headers JSON. I don't know. It's worked for me. I think it sets the headers automatically as JSON if it detects JSON. So I think we're good.
We're fine. Okay. Yeah. No, I was just curious because it was done a little bit.
Yep.
Differently.
Yeah. Both will work. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, and what about unique ID? Will we encounter that as well?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're encountering it right now with Prisma Studio. So the IDs that it's really awesome because we don't have to worry about IDs at all. They get created for us. So this unique string right here is created by UUID.
But I just mean like because I have the .find many, like there was like a .unique as well that he used.
Yep.
I thought.
Yep. We'll get there. Yeah. Or we could do that now. So yeah, that actually makes sense. Let's do that now. And that'll be an easier objective then. So how do we can get a single student? How can we get a single student? So we just want, let me add one more for fun. Right. We just want Renata at this ID. How can I make a GET request to just get a single student? How does the path have to change? How does everything have to change? What do we think?
You have to add the ID.
Parameter.
We have to add what's called a routing parameter. Does anyone remember the symbol we used to tell Express the value is gonna change but match this route?
At
Colon. Colon's the special symbol in Express. And then we can name our variable anything we want, but student ID makes sense. And now here, we're going to type dot and do any of these find messages look promising to us to find one person. Yeah. Find first looks great to me. Now here, do they give us a nice example? Ooh, look at that. Where? So it's an object and a property called where. So let's go ahead and try that. So where, and then what does it want here? Ooh, ID. That's useful. So what ID are we looking for?
Student ID.
The student ID, but is student ID defined for me right here?
Not yet.
So how can I destructure that?
Cons, and then you put the student ID in bracket,
Curly braces,
and then equals request dot params.
Yeah, very nice. So student, it's just one student. And how can I hit this? How can I hit this request? How can I test this route we just made? Open to anyone because it's a little tricky.
You would have to copy the ID and paste it after the slash.
Just like this?
I would think so, or maybe student ID.
Well, first
Okay,
I have to
I'm
run
not
my
sure.
server because I keep on forgetting. But then I hit this request and we get a no route found.
Needs to be after students.
Students. Yep. And there we go. We got Renata. So now what do I tell you guys to do? Destroy it. So let's make a student that we know doesn't exist. Success true, student null. That's pretty bad, right? That's not success. So how can I make this better?
Add an if statement.
If what?
If it's null or bang operator student.
Return what?
Return the false, success false.
What's a good message?
A student doesn't exist.
Very nice. Way better message, right? We're a better backend developer. Yep. So that's our first find first. That was useful. Any questions on that? Okay. Now, when we get an instructor back, wouldn't it be awesome if I had a property under instructors, under this instructor max, called students that was an array of all my students? Wouldn't that be just like very useful in building this application right here? And to do that, we need to talk about relationships between tables, right? So tables can have relationships to each other. And I think the question to ask, one of X can be associated with how many of Y. So let's start with instructor, or let's start with student. One student can be associated with how many different instructors in a typical bootcamp experience? How many instructors do you guys get? One. So I'm going to put a new field called instructor, and then the data type, I'm going to point to my model and say instructor. And then if I save this, Prisma is going to do a lot of crazy things to form the relationship that it knows I'm implying. So a lot happened here, right? Let's actually go. So instructor is what we created, and then it created some stuff here. But let's go down to here. It created an instructor ID of a string, which matches the primary key. It's called in this table. And then this line of code is saying that this field of instructor ID matches this primary key in this other model. And then it auto-generated this field. So each instructor, one instructor can be associated with how many students?
30, maybe.
Many is the answer. The answer is one or many when asking about relationships between tables. So here it gave a capital student, but that's not a great name. A better name for an array of students is students. And then here it was smart enough to know that my students are going to be an array of type students. So all I had to do was define this one relationship here, and Prisma was smart enough to know how it had to be everything else, which is crazy. This is like so much work in SQL to do this. It's called the join table.
Max, so all you did was in student type instructor? That was
Yeah.
it,
Let's
and then
go
it
back and see
automatically
that,
did
because
it?
that's a lot, right? So here I said, I want to keep track of what student is associated with what instructor. And I know that model will be instructor. And then I just press save and everything happens for me, except I don't like the name of this. I don't know why they auto-generate it like that. So I change it to be lowercase and plural. And you can go the other way. Maybe you ask yourself, one instructor. Well, I don't know if this actually will work as well. One instructor can be associated with how many students? You can shout it out. Yeah. So I say students, and then I say type. Sorry. I say, I say students here, and I say they are type student, but an array. And then it is smart enough to know, to figure everything out. Except it made the instructor optional. And should we be able to register a student without an instructor? Maybe. I don't actually know. Like that's dependent on your school, right? But in this case, it's kind of weird. Let's make it mandatory that you need an instructor if you're making a student.
So question mark doesn't mean it's mandatory, it's optional?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now we've made some massive changes to our database. How can we tell CockroachDB about all these changes? Jazz? How can we...
NPX, Prisma migrate that.
Yeah, and the problem is I think everything is going to break because it can't handle all these massive changes. Yeah. So we can try to do Prisma reset, but I don't think that'll work either. But we can try. Oh, did it work? So we open up Prisma Studio. No, what am I doing? That's weird that the migration worked, but not the studio. Let's try one more time. Migrate down. Oh, that's a lie, but whatever. Okay, it says it worked. I don't know if I believe it. Ooh. Yes, it actually worked. Very nice. Awesome. So it had to delete all our students because there were new rules that the old stuff couldn't abide by. That it didn't have the field instructor ID for the students. So it wasn't allowed to exist. So all our old data got deleted, but we can put in new data, right? So an instructor just needs, what is the one required field for an instructor? What do you think, Zach?
Sorry, Max, could you say that again? What is the one field?
Yeah, we want to make some dummy data for an instructor. What's the one thing we have to provide? What's the one field that's required for an instructor? This is
the ID?
No, the ID is auto-generated. So we never actually have to provide an ID.
The name?
Yeah, the name is the only thing we need. Because this can be an empty array, which is, it's weird that there's not a question mark, but that's the deal. So we'll just do me. And then we'll do, so here, what are the fields that are required to create some dummy students? What do you think, Roman? What fields are required?
Name.
We definitely need a name. But what else do we need?
Instructor.
We need an instructor. We need an instructor ID. So I'm going to copy mine and put it here. And now I can save this. And Prisma knows the connection exists. And now I'll add Rodrigo. And same thing. I have him as well as a student. So now I have those 2 students associated to me, right? So now with all that work, we started off saying, wouldn't it be cool if when I got back my instructors, I knew the students that were assigned to them. And now, after those associations we made, we can go back to this this find many that Daniel was asking about and put an optional argument of an object. And we can see something called include. And then we can see students. And if we set that to true, what do you think is going to happen? Any guesses? What's this response going to look like now?
Is it gonna include the students?
Yeah. So it's so awesome. Now just with with modifying this, we get all these students information. And this again is so much work in SQL that we get for free. I mean, we had to create the information, but once you have the relationship, everything you could need becomes so easy. Questions on that?
Hey, Max, when you're dealing with the database and let's say we have to change around fields, is there a way to save the database info someplace to like get it imported back in, or we just have to lose all our data and start with new
You could do like a seed file, but it's probably just easier to just put in 2 or 3 things. It's only going to happen like 3 or 4 times during your project, but you definitely could do like some kind of seed file. I'm imagining where you create some dummy. You import Prisma here. You export it maybe here. Yeah, so then you do prisma.create, prisma.student.create, and you create a bunch of dummy students. This is actually not a bad idea. So you create a bunch of dummy students here. So let's do one for fun since we're here. How do we create a dummy student? You remember, David, with Prisma from the pre-work? Because we haven't covered it yet. Oh, we did cover it yesterday, right? Creating something.
I just entered it into the studio, but
so here's the sample they're giving you. Does that ring a bell?
So I'll do data.
Yeah. And then there's actually now this is interesting because there's a few things a student needs, right? So what are the 2 things a student needs?
It has to have an ID and a name.
Not an ID. It has a name, so we'll start there. But then what does it need to have?
An instructor.
An instructor ID. Yeah. So here we'll give mine. And now if we run this, I wonder if it'll work. How do I run this file, David, our seed file?
Like Node.
Yeah.
Node seed.js.
Yeah. Error. What happened? I don't know. Import Prisma from, it doesn't like the shortcut syntax. So let's try to run this again. And I click refresh. Nope. I don't see David. Why not? Oh, our server isn't running. Or maybe it is. Let's see. No David.
Did you import the seed file into your server?
I don't have to because I ran it, right, directly. So it should have run that code. Maybe it's not running this code. Let's check it out. Const student equals, can I use a wait outside? I don't know. So let's try to run this file again. Seed.js, right? Oh, it's saying it worked. There we go. And we can probably keep on creating you. Yeah, because we don't have what field, what decorator for student's name.
Unique.
If we put this and we try to run David's seed file again. Oh, so we made a change to the database. So what do we have to do?
Migrate.
Yeah. So let's migrate dev. Oh, we might lose all our stuff, but who cares? Ooh, we will lose all our stuff because it can't comply because we did unique names now, which is fine. Or not fine. So npx prisma migrate reset if we get into trouble. Ooh. Uh-oh. Instructors. Uh-oh. We're in real trouble now. Yeah. Okay, one more try, and then we'll delete migrations folder, see if that does anything for us. And then we might have to create version 2 of this database, unfortunately. All right, one more try. Reset. All right, no. So sometimes this has happened to me, and honestly, I just create v2 of the database. So add new database, hello world bootcamp v2. And then I copy this and I change the .env file. I know it's not ideal, but it's the quickest fix I've seen. But I'll still try to play around with that, see if there's a better option. Okay, but now let's see if we can get ourselves working again. So our schema looks good, I think. So let's migrate dev. So now it is initial because it's a new database. Okay, cool. All right, with our last 10 minutes, let's go ahead and do a put request. So let's open up the database, put some dummy info in there. We'll be able to do it kind of quick. I'll just put me again. And now I'll put David, and he has me as an instructor. And Ryan also has me. Okay, so we're back. Let's see if our server is working with a request. Yeah, we're good. So I want to update what? I want to update the name of a student. I want to update the name of a student. What type of request is this going to be? What does it look like? Maybe we'll copy one just to get started. So what has to change here? Rodrigo, what does our method have to be to update something?
Was it put?
Yeah, very nice. Put. What is the path going to be to update the name of a student, do you think?
Would it be a student ID?
We're going to do students and then student ID, but student ID is going to vary, so we need to tell Express to make this a parameter. And then here, what is the logic to update a specific student using Prisma?
Do we want to deconstruct the ID first?
We do, yeah. How do I do that?
Would it be const inside a bracket student ID equals
curly braces.
request dot params?
Uh-huh. So now we can console.log to verify that this works. Student ID. How do I hit this request though? How can I do this put request? How can I do this put
Max, I
request?
think you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm breaking up? Am I back?
At least it sounded like that on my end. Yeah, you're good now.
Okay. How can I do this put request, Hara?
Sorry, what's the question before?
How can I do this put request in Thunder Client?
Change the method to put, and then slash students slash then ID of the student you want to change.
Yeah, the actual ID. So we can try to change David. Like that. And then what else do we need?
You have to add a body.
Yep. And what's the one property we need?
The name.
And we'll make David uppercase. Yep. So now I hit this request. What are we going to see back as it is?
Success true.
Yeah, an object with success true. Yep. And in our console, we now destructured the student ID. But success isn't true because we didn't update David. So how can I update David?
You have to target the properties, like const, and then a curly brackets.
Braces,
Have like
yep.
ID. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were
The
destructuring name. Because we are going to need that as well from the body. So we can grab that from the body as well. Or maybe not, because we forgot to do what? Rec.body is undefined. What do we need to do?
You need the middleware.
How do I do that?
App.use and then express.json.
Okay, try this again. And we got name David. Very nice. Here we are. Okay, we have all the pieces we need to do this update. Finally, we have to ask Prisma to ask the database. How do we do that? We'll start with Prisma, right? The word Prisma. And then which of these which model do we want to update? Student. And then which of these methods looks interesting to us?
Update.
Update. And we don't know how to use update, so we look at the example and we see where and data in an object. That looks promising. So where, we'll come back to that, and we have data as an object. So where, what does it suggest for us here? ID, that looks promising. So what is our ID of the thing we want to update?
Student ID.
Yep. And what is the data we want to update?
Name.
Very nice. Yeah. And now we're going to save this response in a variable. We have to wait it because it's a promise. And we're going to send that in the response. And then we hit David. And we get back David, capitalized. So we've updated. Now, what do I tell you guys? Try to destroy it, right? So we send some bad JSON and our server breaks. What can we do? What can we do? How can we fix that?
.u and then I think like you've error press and then next.
Yeah, we need 4 parameters. Yeah. And then here, instead of no route found, we put what?
Error.message.
Yeah. So now this won't be great, but it's better than certainly your server crashing. Bad JSON, basically. How else can we screw up this request to update David?
You can forget to put anything at all in the name field.
Yeah. Or do you mean no name field or just a blank name?
I like no name field.
Yeah. So let's try that. Oh, you know what happened? Express or Prisma is smart enough to be like, well, your name was undefined, so I'm not updating that. So there was no error, but it was also not successful. So how can we provide a good error to our front end developer?
You could do an if statement in there that checks if that parameter exists.
If not, what?
Name.
Then we want to do what?
Return unsuccessful.
Return
success false.
False. What's a good error message?
Name wasn't included.
Name wasn't included in your update request. Yep. Yeah, and that's way better. And then it won't even bother the database. All right. That's everything I wanted to cover. What questions are there?
Or
questions.
Same.
Oh, sorry. What? Which one?
So my question I was wondering about was required param, or is it request params versus request body? Can you explain when you use which one?
Yeah. So which one's this right here?
Which one is this? What do you mean?
Oh, sorry. The thing I'm highlighting. Student ID.
Yes.
So we get the parameters from the path that they put in. So here in Thunder Client.
Oh, I see.
So that's called a parameter. And then the body is literally the body here.
Mhm.
So those are the two different kind of ways that the user can give us information.
Okay.
Yeah, it is weird how there's like two different places they can kind of give us data, but
Okay. So how they give the data is which one you would use.
there's only one of them you can use in a GET request. Which one do you think? Body or parameters?
Body.
No, parameters.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had a 50-50 chance, but yeah. So this is the only one you can use in a GET request because a GET request doesn't have a body. So GET request never has a body, or it shouldn't. I'm sure maybe you could rig it to have one, but you shouldn't.
Okay.
So what would be other example of a parameter instead of ID?
Well, you could. I mean, here, if we wanted to search by name, we could. So we could have a whole nother. We could have a GET request here that searches by a student, searches by name, and then we could say student name. Someone has a hot mic, Gyang, I think. And so we could do this whole request here. And then what would have to change here in this where if we wanted to search by name?
Name.
Yeah, we would do name is the value. The key is name. The value is what?
Student name.
Yep. I think that's it. So how can I try to do this request in Thunder client? You guys have me all screwed up with the different Thundercats, Thunderbirds. Victor, how can I do this request?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So we made this new request to search by name. How can I do this request in Thunder client? So here's the path.
Student.
So what method is it first of all?
It's a get.
Yeah, so change this to get.
And then student/student name.
Yeah, so instead of this, I think we have a David, right?
Yeah.
And I do a get request. And it didn't work. Oh, because we have a conflict here. Does anyone know why? I think we have a conflict. Does anyone see why?
Handle two of the same thing.
Yeah, I think this one takes preference because it comes first. So I think we could do something like, I don't know, name. It's kind of ugly, but I think that'll probably work. Yeah, there we go. If this is confusing, forget this because it's definitely not REST naming. So, good questions though. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay. I think I heard David first. So.
The error handling. I don't understand the statements there. One has 4 parameters, the other has 2. What's the difference in which gets caught first? Is it whatever is above it, or?
These aren't in conflict. They're doing different things. If Express detects an error that's not caught, basically, this route will catch it and respond appropriately. This is something else. This is basically the user sent a request. There's no error, but there's also just no route found. So they sent us /foo, and we just have Express just has no idea what to do with that. There's no error. It just doesn't know what to do with it. So we say no route found.
So why wouldn't the error catching above it catch the fact that there's no route found?
Yeah, that's a good question. It seems like it would, especially because I told you app.use fires on everything. I guess it gets ignored because there's 4 parameters, so it knows that it's something special. So you're right. It won't get fired. It won't get fired. So these aren't in conflict with each other, even though they seem like they are. I think because the number of parameters. behind the scenes is what Express is using to differentiate. Good question. Any other questions?
I was wondering, and the app.put, if you can go back
Sure.
to that one.
This one?
Yeah. Line 65. So when I was doing the message one, so I guess essentially my question is the element, you put in between the curly brackets. Is it just what you're trying to change? And I'm asking that because with the messages, I also included like name, comma, ID, and like all the properties in the
you can include multiple. So this line is equivalent to this line.
Yeah.
Name.
I'm just asking, is the multiple properties required, or is it just
if we wanted ID,
like the one thing you're targeting?
The problem with our body here is we only had what property?
Name.
Yeah, but if we had something else, right, that'd be fine. And then we could destructure that. We just didn't have anything else for this very simple example.
So for the messages, it's okay that I am also updating the ID, the name, and...
I can't imagine why you'd ever update the ID, honestly.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I don't see a use case.
With what Hara was saying, like, let's say that our student also has like either attendance or a grade, and you wanted to change both. In the same destructure thing, you could just put that in. Yeah.
Multiple things here and here. It's fine. Yep. Maybe I should have done one more field to make it a little to see that, but that's fine. All right, let's do breakout rooms.
Max, I need your help when we go in a breakout room because I can't get my Thunder client or my Prisma Studio to work.
Okay, I'll come right in then.
Okay, thanks.
And I did breakout rooms wrong, so stand by. More. Sign automatically. Recreate. Add a room.